and family vacations are fading away as we speak. Digitizing your old media with LegacyBox stops this fading process in its tracks. And by preserving your recordings, they're safe forever. LegacyBox is simply the best way to preserve your past, which is why they've been trusted by over 1 million families. Your memories are meant to be shared, not chewed up by the VCR or worn away with time. For a limited time, you can convert your tapes to digital for just $9 a tape. There's never been a better time to convert your entire collection. That includes film reels and photos too. Visit legacybox.com/value to get our $9 sale. That's legacybox.com/value to unlock our $9 offer. Legacybox.com/value.
Hi everyone, Matt here from Emmons Roofing and Siding. There are a lot of companies out there that say they do roofing, siding, windows, and doors. Some good, some not so good. Be careful of those that say buy two, get two free. Does that really make sense? Think about it. At Emmons, we don't offer gimmicks, just quality products installed by our experienced craftsmen. We do offer 12 months, same as cash financing though. That's not a gimmick. That's because we know how tough it is for some people right now to get these projects done. If you need roofing, siding, or windows and doors, call us for a free estimate today at 856-885-6677 or visit us at callemmons.com.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. The Dawn Stensland Show on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
A lot of Trump news this morning. We'll get into it. Is he going to sue DOJ, Department of Justice? And for how much over that Mar-a-Lago raid? So there's some new documents filed. We'll get into that. Of course, we'll be watching for the Elon Musk-Trump interview on X. And what will that mean? What will that look like? So we'll get into that as well. I want to talk about a story that I think, that the so-called mainstream media is not playing up as much this morning. And that is this issue of Iran reportedly ramping up online activity, trying to influence the upcoming U.S. election, and reportedly targeting a presidential campaign with an email phishing attack. So Microsoft has confirmed this, and I just find it fascinating, I say sarcastically, how the media reports this. So they report to us, the Trump campaign claims that Iran tried to hack them. Well, quite frankly, the federal government has confirmed that the feds are investigating and find this legitimate. Microsoft has come out and confirmed that absolutely from Iran, this cyber activity, it appears to be an attempt by an enemy, a political enemy, Iran. And I'll talk about what's escalating in the Middle East, and I've been reporting that. But it appears that they have clearly targeted the Trump campaign. And so these bad actors spending recent months creating fake news sites, impersonating activists, laying the groundwork to stoke division and try and sway American voters November 5th, especially in the swing states, especially in places like Pennsylvania. So this is something that Microsoft is reporting. And the findings in Microsoft's newest threat intelligence report show how they say Iran, which as we know has been very active in recent U.S. campaign cycles that we know of, and it is reportedly now taking its tactics and using these tactics for yet another election that's likely to have global implications. And so this is something that U.S. intelligence officials confirm without giving specifics. They are looking into. Now, Iran's leadership denying anything such as this, denies they've tried to interfere or launch any cyber attacks into the U.S. presidential election. But this is something Microsoft confirms. This is something that U.S. intelligence confirms they're looking into. Okay? And so we don't have a lot of specifics, but U.S. officials expressing alarm about Tehran's efforts to seek retaliation for a 2020 strike on an Iranian general that was ordered by Trump. We know, and looking at all of this, we know that there was somebody with a terrorist group who was activated, flew here, and was arrested the day before another Pennsylvania 20-year-old took a shot at Trump. But we know that there have been at least 2 assassins headed for Trump. One is dead, shot by, a Secret Service sharpshooter, and that continues to be investigated in Butler, Pennsylvania. But it's amazing to me how it's not reported as widely as I think it should be, that they arrested a alleged terrorist and another wannabe assassin who was a Middle Eastern guy who came to this country with allegedly the intent to assassinate Trump. Am I the only one that thinks this is bizarre, that this is not in the headlines more? Wow. To me, this is the mainstream, so-called mainstream media. They're not really mainstream, obviously, corporate media. But the fact that they're not talking about this, this is disturbing. This is a threat to democracy, to threaten the life of a former president. And they're not talking about it because obviously they know that it brings up the fact that Trump stood there, fight in a way that was just so bad. Was it great? And you can't, there's some moments in life that you cannot stage, that you cannot fake. And the fact that a chunk of his ear just was blown off by a wannabe assassin, and he stood there and he had his number one thing was to tell the crowd, fight. That says volumes about Donald J. Trump. You can't coach that. You can't make that up. This guy is a fighter, and this guy is in it for all the right reasons. His thought was not, cowering and scared. What about me? His thought was telling the crowd and telling the American people, fight in that moment. It was an incredible moment. And the media is so scared to report on any of this, in my humble opinion, because they don't want to bring up and revive that moment 1 month ago tomorrow. So the Justice Department unsealing criminal charges now against this Pakistani man with ties to Iran, who is alleged to have, plotted to assassinate Trump. And the media keeps saying, well, multiple targets, Trump number 1 on the list. Come on. And they just released that when they knew about it and arrested him the day before July 13th, when there was another assassination attempt on Trump. And they know this is a bad look, because then you think to yourself, oh my gosh, they knew that Iran has a, target on Trump, and they want him, and you just arrested a dude right before Butler, PA, and you don't beef up that security? Hello? Scary, right? But now we also have the latest reports, and you couple all of this together. So you have Microsoft, you have the Trump campaign, you have U.S. intelligence confirming the latest about trying to reportedly infiltrate, and influence the upcoming election. You also know this now about this guy tied to Iran, comes here, and he's arrested. We find that information. They finally release that to us and kind of try to bury the story. That's Biden and Harris's DOJ, which is a sin. And the media, anybody who's a journalist, should be furious that they released that, buried it, and have gotten away with burying it. And then you look at today, what's happening with the latest in the Middle East crisis and what's looming there, and the escalation of this so-called imminent attack on Israel, and Israel and the Middle East reportedly bracing. So we know now, and I reported earlier, so if you missed it, I just want to update you quickly. And this is that we're told that Iran could attack Israel in less than 24 hours. And now they're trying to deal with Tehran and de-escalate the situation. However, tensions are escalating in the Middle East because Hezbollah is signaling now a wider conflict. ISIS is reemerging in Syria. They've been doing different training exercises, and I know I had reported some of this earlier, but now they're issuing joint statements today warning Iran and its allies to refrain from attacks that would further escalate regional tensions. And this, as we know, that we have the Defense Secretary, Austin, who has confirmed this morning that in fact they're speeding up the response of the U.S. military and the might of the U.S. military. So the latest from the Pentagon is that they've ordered a submarine to the Middle East, telling the aircraft carrier Lincoln, right, to hasten its, to get there fast, move it, speed it up. So this is U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin ordering that guided missile submarine to the Middle East ASAP, and also telling the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier strike group to sail more quickly. Pick up your pace. The move comes as the U.S. and other allies push for Israel and Hamas to achieve a ceasefire deal that could help calm soaring tensions in that region. And this all follows the assassination of a Hamas political leader who is essentially, by all accounts, a terrorist group leader, a billionaire who lived a lavish lifestyle, lived in Qatar, by the way, didn't live, where they say, oh, the poor Palestinians and they're dying and he didn't live there. He lived in a huge, biggity big mansion, has homes all over the place in Turkey. I believe he has a home in Tehran, in Iran. But his name is Ismail Haniyeh, and he was taken out in Tehran. There was also a senior Hezbollah commander in Beirut that was taken out. There were two, but the most recent was the Hamas political leader, but he's still, by all accounts, a terrorist leader. That's what's going on here. So officials now on the lookout for these retaliatory strikes by both Iran and Hezbollah. And so now the United States, here we are, the Pentagon confirming beefing up our forces in that region as tensions rise. So getting to all of that, 855-839-1210. I just, and I want to get to the J.D. Vance. The interview that I want to focus on is just media bias with my background working in so-called mainstream media, and we've talked a lot about that. But I said to Henry Machette this morning, I said, Henry, why do I allow myself to be disappointed? Why do I keep hope alive that somebody will actually do diligence and do an actual high-quality, fair interview? But they're never fair. But J.D. Vance, spectacular. And I'll get through that. 855-839-1210. Just this morning as we react to this, and it's a day where we have fast-breaking developments. I know the White House, there are all kinds of news conferences planned. 855-839-1210, the number to call. Can I take Mega Man? Mega Man, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Dawn. Nice to talk to you.
Oh, it's great to have you on.
A couple opinions about what you're talking about, because I saw the Kennedy assassination when it happened, and to me, this guy Crooks is like the Oswald. He's the patsy. Mm-hmm. They could not put him in front of the pointing the finger more often than they did. They made everything so visible for him so they could point to him and say, see, that's the guy. I don't buy it. I don't buy any of it. And in my opinion, only, it's my opinion that the media is going to stay away from it, because I really do believe that there was more to the story with the government being involved with allowing this to happen, and the new media wants to stay far away from that. They don't want to expose that.
Yeah,
that's my take on it.
Yeah,
and I love what you said. I love what you said too about J.D. Vance. I watched all his shows. The guy handles the questions perfectly.
He does. Thank God that he can pivot and still come across. He has a nice way about him and a respectful demeanor to him. I know he makes it look easy. That's not easy to do. And you have that person with they got their pursed lips, and they're all because they hate Republicans, they hate conservatives, they hate the Second Amendment, right? They hate us. They hate you.
Yeah,
they hate me.
He doesn't cringe. Yeah,
nope.
He doesn't cringe from the questions. He stands his ground and doesn't let them get away with their narrative of what they're trying to put out there. Although they did cut the videos, they cut the interviews.
So true.
To say what they want to say. He didn't get the full interview, but he handled it really well, in my opinion.
Well, I thank you so much.
I love your show. I love your show. You guys do a great job, and it's a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, my pleasure's all mine. It's a MAGA Monday morning. We have to make up our own song. So I'll tell you about a little bit of a surprise, and this was in The Economist, which is economist.com. Do you know The Economist? It's used to be a hard copy magazine, and now obviously they are online. They have an online presence, but they start out their article by saying, standing outside a quaint house in the Philadelphia suburbs of Delaware County, Dawn Stensland sounds like an agony aunt, which my husband and I had to look up that. I didn't know what that was. And it's quoting me as we were talking about Trump Force 47. So I do want to go through that, because the point that I was making and the point they're picking up is that conservatives are coming out of the closet. So are you ready to come out of the closet? Because MAGA man, and you made me think of that because you are MAGA man. What in the world is wrong with MAGA? Make America great again. It's a great saying coined by the great late Ronald Reagan, and yet they make it as if you're some kind of a crazy person. And that's wrong. It's time to come out of the closet and wear your Trump hat. And so they had quoted me in the Economist magazine, or the online site. So we'll talk about that moving forward. Beth Ann Rossica, she's up ahead, 855-839-1210. Jim, good morning.
Good morning, Dawn. How are you this morning?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Two quick issues, and I'll just say them both, and you can comment on both. Regarding the Iranian hack of Trump's emails, he is now, really begging and asking for both Politico and Washington Post, who got those emails, not to release them. But I remember in 2016 when John Podesta got his emails hacked, and when Trump asked Russia to try to hack Clinton's 30,000 emails that were lost, they wanted them released. So why the change of heart now? And my other question is Fox News. Why should they be eligible to handle a debate when they were sued and convicted and had to pay $800 million for misinformation regarding a particular company? I don't understand. So if you could comment on both of those, I would appreciate it.
Okay. Well, thanks, Jim. And it's important that we remember the past. So I love when somebody brings up all of the past. The Russia hoax, that was a hoax. The Steele dossier, that was a hoax. As far as being consistent, I'll have to look back at exactly, and I'll find it, exactly what did Trump push for. But I do believe in consistency. So I'll look through that. But I will say in part, when we think about transparency and the importance of media transparency, the more important point is that we have that transparency and equal treatment, right? And so we don't hear as much, really, of the media, the so-called mainstream media, admonishing that the Steele dossier, all of that was fabricated and debunked. And so that's the whole story of the Hunter laptop, that didn't exist. And we now know the FBI, in fact, entered that laptop into evidence. It did exist. So if you're talking about transparency, you know me, I always believe in that transparency. And so that's important to me. That's number one. Number two, as far as Fox News, we see networks sued all the time, whether it's ABC News, NBC News has been sued in the past for some major scandals, CBS News as well. And so the fact that Fox News, I believe that they settled that. And part of the problem, if I'm not mistaken on, as I recall, with the settlement with Dominion was that, which are the voting machines, right? And I'll be really quick here because we have Beth Ann Rossica coming up and I have to stay on time. But I want to answer your question. So networks are sued all the time. Oftentimes you'll see them settle. I think part of the settlement for Fox was that there were some embarrassing public emails or texts that were part of the lawsuit became embarrassing because they had some of their major brands, if you will, those Fox News personalities that were texting or emailing. And I think that Fox was protecting those brands, those on-air people who I believe were either emailing or especially texting each other, and it was embarrassing to the network. And so networks will do that. They don't want the embarrassment of it. And so they settled. Does that then kick them out of the race as far as, or the straw drawing for who goes next for a debate? No, it does not. At no point, and this is important, was Brett Baier or Martha McCallum. They at no point was their integrity questioned, to my knowledge. And you can tell me if you have some information or tangible evidence of this. Never was Brett Baier or Martha McCallum in any way were they included in any of the reporting or the public records that their integrity was questioned or that they were saying things that would have been inappropriate. And if you remember, there were some personalities early on. There was a woman, and now I'm embarrassed that I can't, who was fired for saying some things. Because if you are a news person and you are being called an objective news person like Brett Baier, you cannot go out there and make wild claims such as about an election, or you will be fired. It doesn't matter if you're on Fox or wherever. So to your point, Jim, I think that's just it. That Fox News is saying, hey, Martha, Brett, they are full of integrity. They will be professional, and they will not show any bias, and they will bend over backwards to be professional. You will even notice when they were hosting on their network and when Dana Bash and Jake Tapper were hosting the CNN debate. Remember this? And Martha and Brett were very quick to come back. I'll go to the break, Jimmy, I promise. They were very quick to come back, and they said, no, the CNN anchors, they were appropriate. They were fair. And so I think that's a good thing. When it gets to that level, I think that they, like CNN, like all of these individuals, will try their hardest to be fair, to be unbiased, and to bring forth that information. So you can, if you disagree with me, 855-839-1210. I've got to take a quick break. Thank you for being here. Be right back.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano with a big update on our huge Politics and Pints with Donald Trump Jr. We had to move the date to Thursday, September 12th. We'll talk the election, all things Trump, 2 days after the next scheduled presidential debate. Think about that. Politics and Pints with Donald Trump Jr., now September 12th, Scottish Rite Auditorium in Collingswood. All the ticket details and everything else at 1210WPHT.com. Be there September 12th.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. I've been telling you about one of the greatest finds of Mama Zioli, besides me, of course, and that's our dentist, Dr. Mike Veneria at Veneria Dental. As you know, my entire family goes to Dr. Mike. His level of care and commitment to dental excellence is unmatched. Now, if you've been putting off seeing a dentist or getting that complex dental procedure done, I don't want to sound like Mama Zioli, but what are you waiting for? Take care of your teeth. So important. You got to have a great smile. You got to look your best. Plus, Dr. Mike and his staff make it so easy to have that beautiful, healthy smile. Dr. Mike Mike has been named a top dentist in New Jersey for 10 consecutive years. He has one of the most respected reputations among his peers as a master of dental implants. I promise you won't be disappointed with Dr. Mike. So if you haven't been to the dentist or you're on the fence about getting that dental procedure done, reach out to Dr. Mike today. With 2 locations to serve you in Cinnaminson and Woodbury, schedule your appointment or free implant consultation today for your perfect smile. 856-786-2020. 856-786-2020 or veneriadental.com.
Kids go hard, live without boundaries, play with no fear, and enjoy every opportunity. How they feel tomorrow starts today. Keep them on their toes with proactive steps to be well. Looking out for their total health and wellness includes keeping them up to date on preventative immunizations, allowing them to be their best self every day. Talk to your pediatrician about a vaccine schedule that works for you.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
Cradles to Crayons will be giving out thousands of book bags around the city this school year for families in need. The largest USA Girls Flag Football Tournament held its 4th annual event in Conshohocken this weekend. 2 teens were arrested over the weekend for crashing into a police car while at a large car meetup in the Northeast.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
Hey, fantasy football fans, do you want to be the owner who was doing a cram session the night before the draft? I didn't think so. You need to start your prep now. This is Faraz from Upper Hand Fantasy. Zach and I are here to get you ready for your fantasy football drafts with insights and advice. From sleepers to busts, we've got you covered and give you the upper hand on your friends. Today is the day to start getting ready for the draft, so join us and stay ahead of the competition. Follow and listen to Upper Hand Fantasy on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The following is a paid commercial announcement.
What happens when Washington liberals spend trillions of dollars? Just look around. Prices are way up. They pushed a bunch of reckless spending, and Senator Bob Casey voted for it. Now we're paying higher gas prices, higher grocery prices, and higher utility bills. Casey helped create this mess by voting with President Biden 98% of the time, including voting for trillions in wasteful spending. Instead of listening to the warnings, Senator Casey sided with the liberals, causing this inflation disaster. Casey voted to let illegals take your tax dollars. He voted to let illegals collect $500 million in COVID relief checks. It's more for illegals and less for us. Come on, Senator Casey. That's just not right. Call Senator Casey at 202-224-6324. Tell him to put Pennsylvania families first and fix his inflation disaster. Support S575, the Fight Inflation Through Balanced Budgets Act. Paid for by One Nation, onenationamerica.org.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. Football season is approaching. It's time to get in on the action early this season with FanDuel. They have all your favorite NFL futures bets. I see Philadelphia winning a playoff game this year. At least that's the NFL futures bets. They have tons of them. Passing yards, TDs, rushing, receiving totals. You can do all that. And right now, new customers, you get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. There's no better place to get ready for football season than on FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge Casino, America's #1 sportsbook and official sports betting partner of the NFL. Just visit FanDuel.com/Dom. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of 1210 WPHT. You have to be 21 plus and present in Pennsylvania. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bet, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? 1-800-GAMBLER.
Cozy Jewelers is the place to go to for exquisite engagement rings. Thinking about popping the question this summer? Whether you buy something off the shelf or go for a custom engagement ring, Cozy is there for you and will make sure you get the perfect ring thanks to Cozy's 5 C's. Color, cut, clarity, carat, and the Cozy touch. This summer, begin a lifetime of happiness with a ring from Cozy. Go to Cozy Jewelers in Newtown Square or shop online at CozyJewelers.com. That's CozyJewelers.com. And step up to the 5th C, COZZI.
Hi, this is Joe Mederchik, PNC Bank Regional President. As a bank, we pride ourselves on being boring. But the truth is we couldn't be more excited to serve the dynamic greater Philadelphia community. For nearly 160 years, we've quietly toiled away to deliver brilliant results for our equally brilliant clients. We have dedicated PNC teams throughout the local area, all ready to do the boring work to help you unlock your own brilliance. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
When you haven't found love, it can feel like everyone else has. It's in every movie, every song, and all the PDA. Looking for love sucks. Thankfully, California Psychics can give you the guidance you need to find the one. We guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. And new customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com and experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
You can host the best backyard barbecue. You find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
Be sure to follow Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
When I think of back to school, I think Beth Ann Rossica. What's Beth Ann Rossica up to lately? She's always investigating, doing a great job, doing due diligence, and talking about everything education. Somebody who, if you've not heard Beth Ann Rossica speaking here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, you should know that she's a PhD in education, biggity big, an expert, if you will, a mom, and somebody who at one point made a transition of her own, a transition from maybe being a Democrat to being a Republican, not because of politics, but because of policy and the changes in one political party that led her to a different pathway, perhaps one that she didn't think she would evolve to. And I think that's for a lot of Americans right now, looking at policies, whether it's education, whether it's finances, whether it's security. And so looking at the policies versus just following blindly to one party or another, I think that's something that any, especially national, federal election like the one upcoming in November, asks of each of us to do our due diligence, do the homework, and look at the facts, look at the policy, look at the issue. And so I always enjoy the conversation with Beth Ann Rossica. Good morning, Beth.
Good morning, Dawn.
So take me through, and we haven't, I don't know when you were on last, but so much has happened. And I know that we had run into each other at one or two of those Trump Force 47 events, I believe, or different events. And now I'm forgetting because there are so many that we've been attending over time throughout our communities. But I just want to ask you for a couple of takes, because I don't know that we've spoken since Governor Josh Shapiro was not chosen in Pennsylvania, and just your reaction for his lack of being chosen as the Veep. And as you know, we don't have the Lifeline scholarships, his attitudes toward education. And then the follow-up on the students faking teachers' profiles and that horrible situation that you have done a beautiful job of writing about, and the follow-up to that one. But can I just get your reaction along a few fronts? First and foremost, your reaction to Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania. It surprised a lot of people. He was not chosen.
I agree. It was surprising to me. I had written a piece before the announcement was made, making the case why not to pick him. I describe him as a wolf in sheep's clothing because he's very polished. He's very professional. He presents extremely well, and he pretends that he's very moderate on his views, yet he's really not very moderate. But I was pretty well convinced that Harris was going to take him because of his moderate perception to sort of offset her radical positions on many things. And I thought that because Pennsylvania is such a important swing state, maybe the most important state, that it would give her an edge in Pennsylvania to take him. So I was definitely surprised when she didn't take him. And like many people, the first question that I thought of was, is it because of his religion? Is it because he's Jewish? And I certainly hope that that's not the case, but I fear that given where the Democratic Party has gone, I think that she was very concerned about alienating the, very pro-Hamas faction in her party, that she stayed away from selecting Shapiro because he was Jewish. And I think there's a number of other reasons as well. But I do think that issue played into the decision. And it's very, very disconcerting in 2024 that would even be a possibility.
And you also have written, and I know that broadandliberty.com, but also I know other sites. I know the DelawareValleyJournal.com. You author articles there, or they pick up the great pieces that you've written. But I know that you had spent a lot of time looking into the situation that was concerning, to a lot of teachers at the Great Valley Middle School there in Chester County. And these, 7th and 8th grade middle school kids creating these fictitious TikTok accounts, and you had written about any consequences. I mean, some of this, especially I think the Spanish teacher was the worst one that I saw, because they were putting her family up there and sort of encouraging like pedophiles. I mean, it really got creepy and detailed. But what's the follow-up on that? That was about a month ago that we finally heard about it and heard the details. Is there any follow-up, or are these students, being reprimanded, or their parents being counseled, or anything?
It doesn't seem like there's anything that has happened as a result. I've reached out a couple of times to people involved, and they have not reported that they're aware of any type of disciplinary action or any real meaningful change. There was a school board meeting back in maybe the end of June that the union president spoke at on behalf of the teachers, but there really was no follow-up. There was it does not appear that there were any real consequences for these students. And when I investigated and when I talked to some people involved, the part that was really concerning to me, especially as a parent, is that if my child was at all involved in anything like that, I would have wanted to know immediately, and I would have gone through my kid's phone and looked to see what exactly they were doing or not doing, and I would have shared that information with the school. And I think that the superintendent really made a huge error in not reaching out to parents immediately when that happened back in March. I mean, this didn't even come out until June because somebody must have leaked it to the New York Times. I'm guessing there's a teacher that has somebody that they know at the Times, and that's why it got covered, because there's no reason that anyone would have known about this otherwise. But the fact that the school district did not reach out to parents to say, listen, we need your help. Something horrible has happened. I'm sure that you can all agree that this is not appropriate student behavior, and we need your help. And had they done that, I guarantee you that the majority of parents would have been on that right away, because that's just the kind of community that we live in. It's not acceptable for children to do this kind of doxing of teachers and put out all of this fake news that could really harm them and their families.
Yeah, and like I say, it wasn't just because at first when you see the story and you go, oh, these are like 7th and 8th grade kids and they're doing dopey stuff. But then when you really look at it, I had Neil Young on, who's a veteran teacher and coach, and who I know and as well, I have to have him. By the way, Henry, he wants to come in person. I have to do a better job of getting people in person. You too, Beth Ann Rossica.
Yeah, I'm happy to come in. I'm happy to come in person. That would be fun.
So we can get you, and we'll do it on YouTube, and we'll make it a whole thing. But, so I know that Neil Young, there were some teachers who felt comfortable in being public, and I believe a few of the teachers had spoken out publicly. Some did not want to. Some of the stuff was really disturbing, and like I say, involved their kids and their families. And by the way, the kids are pretty proficient in copying and pasting and making these things. So, but my take was yours, Beth Ann, that it struck me that their first instinct, as far as the school, their first instinct was not to reach out to the parents. And they even tried to like go to the state attorney general or the police rather than the first. You would think that the first one they would want to go to is call the parents and say, hey, can we just meet? Can we have a conference and communicate in person?
Absolutely. I mean, and really there should have been an email to the entire parent community to say, this horrible thing has happened and we need your help. If you have any information, if you have any information from your kids, we need to know. And this is all too common with school districts now, is that rather than doing what's right, and whether it's what's right for students, whether it's what's right for teachers, they do what's politically expedient and they go into damage control mode because that's all that they're really concerned about at this moment. They didn't want to put anything out publicly because they didn't want to face scrutiny for what was happening. And listen, school districts have a tough job. I understand that. The technology, the sophistication of the kids far exceeds that of even some of the people in the IT departments. Yeah. So I get that this is a challenge, but they have a responsibility. And, they also could be doing some things differently. When I spoke to Neil Young about what had happened, the school district claimed that they couldn't do anything because things weren't done on district-issued devices. And Neil told me that that was flat out incorrect, that kids had used their district-issued iPads to take pictures in the classroom that were then used. That's how the kids got some of the teachers' pictures with their families and with their kids, was that they're in the classroom and the kids use the district-issued devices. But they also use their personal devices. And this, I think I've been on the show before talking about the potential elimination of cell phones in schools. I think that we should absolutely stop having these cell phones in school because it creates an environment that is not conducive to learning at the least. And at the worst, it leads to these kinds of situations where kids are creating these fake accounts and really being cruel and mean, and really it's illegal to do that. It is illegal to create a fake account and act like somebody else. So, I think that that's a big issue, and I have not heard Great Valley at all speak about eliminating cell phones in the classroom, even when now the legislature has passed a bill. Senator Ryan Aument pushed to get this done, authored this bill, to allow them to use the Safe Schools money to purchase those cell phone bags where you can, the phone goes in a bag throughout the day so that then, you can't access it. And nobody's, I haven't heard any of the school districts here locally talking about taking advantage of that program. And I really think that it's a failed policy. I think that getting rid of cell phones in schools is imperative right now.
And, a long time ago, we had a discussion about a philosophy called restorative justice and where and when it's appropriate. And you had gone through that and you had written some great pieces on it and you've studied that. I would think when we think about a conversation where you could, a learning, teachable moment between students and maybe a counselor on hand with the teachers, if they're willing to participate with these students and perhaps their parents. I would imagine, even if I'm a parent whose kid was involved, I would suggest for the parents, host the event, a private event, no recordings, nothing on the record. Let's bring together the community, parents, these teachers, these kids, face to face, and let these kids hear from, let's say, the Spanish teacher who was horrified when she saw screenshots and copying and pasting in her children and then some sicko reactions from pedophiles. You know what I mean?
Right? Absolutely. Yeah, no, John, you're absolutely correct. And school districts talk about using restorative justice, but sadly what restorative justice has devolved to in schools is basically placating kids. So somebody does something wrong, a student breaks a rule or a violation, and rather being held accountable and having a consequence for that, we make excuses. Well, they're in special ed, or, well, they come from a difficult family, so we're just going to give them a little slap on the wrist and we're going to hug them and bring them in and then send them on their way. And the problem is that that's only one side of the story. that true restorative justice is focusing on victim awareness and focusing on restoring justice for those victims. And those kids should have absolutely had to apologize to those teachers and listen, to your point, to how their behavior impacted those teachers, how it made them feel, what it did to them. And the last time that I spoke with Neil, he still didn't have an apology from the students involved. There was some sort of lame post on Instagram that one of the students said, "Oh, yeah, we're sorry, but maybe you should get a thicker skin," something along those lines, which, again, was certainly not an apology. I can tell you one thing. If either of my children were involved in anything like that, regardless of what the school did or didn't do, my kids would have written an apology and we would have met to clean all of this up. And they would have had consequences for that. There would have been huge consequences at home. They would have lost their technology. They would have lost their phone for some period of time to make a point that this behavior is not okay. And again, that's where if the school had partnered with the parents rather than keeping them in the dark, I think that there would have been a much different reaction to what had occurred.
Yeah, and by the way, obviously these are like 7th and 8th graders, pretty young kids. They're pretty savvy. They obviously were able to skirt some of the IT people, as you mentioned, at the school level, so who apparently aren't aware that they can screenshot even with the issued devices from the school district. And so there's a positive piece out of it to say, obviously they're bored. And so let's figure this out. I mean, do we have a social media page or do we have a campus? I mean, can we turn this into a positive and say, hey, you guys have a skill set. But like you're saying, if I'm that parent, I want to have the teacher over. And like I say, we don't have to record anything. Let's just sit down, have a meal, and face-to-face apologize to the teacher, and then let that student, that kid, understand what they've done to that person. You know what I mean? And to feel that.
No, right, because that's the goal of restorative justice. You don't want this behavior to happen again. So if you don't want it to happen again, there has to be an impact on the person who committed the incident. So if these kids don't learn now that their social media posts have consequences, then this behavior will just continue and escalate. And, that's why I think we're in the mess that we're in right now in our country, because nobody thinks about what they post. They don't understand the impact that it has on other people. And if more people took the time to say, hey, I wonder how this is going to make so-and-so feel, then maybe they wouldn't actually make that post. And we could get back to having more civil dialogue on issues.
You also, I just wanted to touch on this, and there's so much, broadandliberty.com, and you've been very busy, Beth Ann Rossica, but you had written an article that I haven't had a chance to ask you about, and that was that the Pennsylvania Department of Ed investigating the superintendent of the Unionville Chadds Ford School District based on some of this, a complaint filed by a parent alleging misconduct. Can you just highlight some of that? And I encourage everybody to go to broadandliberty.com, great articles, including those by Beth Ann Rossica. But what's going on here with this one?
Well, this is an interesting situation because there's a parent in Unionville Chadds Ford who's been, I would say, at war with his school district for, the last 4 years, really, since the whole COVID debacle with the school closures. And so he had filed a complaint with the Department of Education. There's something called an educator misconduct complaint that he filed that included things like the superintendent continuing to mask kids even after the Pennsylvania Supreme Court declared that unconstitutional. The school district has done a number of things. He does not believe that they have fulfilled his right to know requests in good faith. And I will say that I share his opinion on that. I have an appeal pending with the Office of Open Records right now because I don't believe that they've given me all the documents that I requested in a right to know request. So he's included that in his complaint. They illegally administered a survey. I wrote about this maybe a month or two ago. They invited the Crime Victim Center to come in and do a training on safe dating, and they had kids fill out an online survey that the school district apparently never even knew about, which, they're not allowed to do surveys with kids without parental permission. And they've acknowledged that they did that, but they really didn't do anything. There were no consequences as a result of that. So there's a number of issues that this parent has concerns about, and he filed this complaint with the Department of Education. And what I find particularly interesting about this, because I've actually filed these types of complaints before as well, on the complaint form, it says that you must keep the complaint, the fact that you're filing the complaint, and any details about the complaint confidential. And if you don't keep it confidential, you could be subject to a misdemeanor. Well, it's interesting because there was a court case earlier this year that basically overruled that the court in Pennsylvania said that's unconstitutional. You cannot restrict someone's right to free speech to talk about the filing of this complaint. So this parent is relying on that court action, and he's speaking publicly about it. He gave me the documents. He gave me both the complaint and the letter issued from the Department of Education that said that the issues, as alleged, if they are true, would warrant disciplinary action of the superintendent at the Unionville School District. So they are now in the investigation process, and he'll see what happens. We'll see if the district attorney in Chester County is going to go after him for, disclosing this information. But I think they're going to have a tough battle on their hands because of the precedent that's been set. But the Department of Ed continues to stick with their position that these things have to remain confidential. So I give him a lot of credit for sharing this information publicly. Anybody can now look at the complaint or the letter from the Department of Ed in my article on Broad and Liberty.
Yeah, and all the links are there. And I always want to give people, I love that you give the raw data, so what has been filed, and people can look at it for themselves and judge for themselves. Are you looking forward to this school year, Beth Ann Rossica? What are you watching for as you think about this school year? What are you hopeful for?
Well, I'm hoping for civil discourse, but sadly, I don't think that we're going to see that. And I do worry for our kids, particularly those in public school, because with such a heated election, with such a polarizing election coming up, I think that it really puts pressure on the kids in the classroom. The teachers are very clear about their positions most of the time. Sadly, a lot of our teachers, tend to be Democrats because of the union and the union money that goes, to support the Democratic candidates. And a lot of the kids who aren't that way feel smothered. They feel like their right to free speech is not very valid. And so I do worry that the polarizing situation at the national level will trickle down into classrooms across the country, and particularly here in Southeast Pennsylvania, especially because Southeastern Pennsylvania could very well determine the outcome of the national election. Yes. So I'll be happy when the election is over because I think that it is going to be a long couple of months. But I'm hopeful that some of the school districts will enact the no cell phone policy in the classrooms, and we'll see, hopefully, some improved academic outcomes. We'll see improved mental health outcomes. I'm hopeful that, we can get back to teaching and learning and getting our kids caught up because they are so far behind from the years of school closure. And I'm hoping that our teachers will rely less on technology and get back to the basics of in-class instruction, group activities, group projects. That's what I'm hopeful for. Whether that's going to happen or not, I'm not sure, but that's certainly what I'm hoping for as we get ready to start the school year.
Well, Beth Ann Rossica, next time we'll be in person. All right, so we'll set that up.
Sounds great. I look forward to that. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Dawn.
Thank you, Beth Ann Rossica, broadandliberty.com. She has so many great articles that if you want to look at any one of them, they're all right there. And so great articles. And even dating back, there was the one that she had written about Pennsylvania's immigration policies, for example. So really some great stuff there. 855-839-1210. We have Trump news around the corner. This is Dawn Stensland, 855-839-1210. Be right back.
Talk Radio 1210's Huge Politics and Pints with Donald Trump Jr. is moving to Thursday, September 12th. Join Dom Giordano as he talks to Donald Trump Jr. about all things Trump. Just 2 days after the planned presidential debate. The new date, Thursday, September 12th at Scottish Rite Auditorium in Collingswood. Your tickets include a copy of Letters to Trump by former President Trump. A cash bar will be available. Get your tickets now at 1210WPHT.com. That's 1210WPHT.com.
Hey, this is Mike Quick. If you're in the restaurant, hospitality, or casino business and your point of sale system isn't helping you sell more, earn more, or work less, you need to talk to my friends at PDQ Signature Systems. PDQ has everything you need for success. PDQ POS is the fastest, easiest, and most reliable POS system available. Whether you have a single location restaurant or thousands of locations, Joe Flynn and his team will create a custom game plan that will help your business succeed. Visit PDQPOS.com.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Two legends, one can. Jack and Coke. The #1 cocktail in the world is now available in a can. Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey mixed with Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola Zero Sugar are available in a can. Is there any better time than summer grilling season for a cold Jack and Coke? Jack and Coke in a can. Born for the backyard. Available at your local PA Fine Wine and Good Spirits store. Go to finewineandgoodspirits.com. Please drink responsibly.
Whiskey specialty, 7% ABV. Jack Daniel Distillery, Lynchburg, Tennessee. Jack Daniel's and Old Number 7 are registered trademarks of Jack Daniel's Properties, Inc. Coca-Cola is a trademark of the Coca-Cola Company.
Family and Company Jewelers on Route 70 in Marlton, New Jersey is known for being South Jersey's diamond destination and your trusted jeweler for quality, service, and price. Choose from the largest selection of engagement rings in the area or have their master jewelers create a one-of-a-kind ring just for your special day. Visit their showroom or shop online at familyjewelers.com.
Family and Company Jewelers, South Jersey's diamond destination. La 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 la.
Oops. Ever had your singing lessons cut short by icy water?
Oh, I'm sorry, honey.
Say goodbye to those cold notes with Navien tankless water heaters. With Navien, you'll hit all the right notes without the surprise chill. So keep singing and let Navien keep the hot water flowing. And get ready for the encore when you get your utility bill.
La 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 la.
Navien tankless water heaters. Visit tanklessmadesimple.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-790-1400. 800-790-1400.
Progressive presents 10 things on a contractor's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Bidding a new client, giving an accurate estimate, finding affordable materials, getting a client to pay you for work you already did, getting a client to pay you, period, securing permits and workers and tools, getting those workers and tools to work together, and finding the perfect pair of overalls. Pockets, baby. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
As fall approaches, you have a lot to prepare for. Back to school, sporting events, family gatherings, and staying on top of your health. The virus that causes COVID-19 continues to evolve. So this fall, no matter what you're prepping for, you can prioritize your family's health and make a game plan for COVID-19 vaccination. Ask your doctor or pharmacist to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
40 days up to 40 pounds. Say it with me. 40 days up to 40 pounds. Shed that summer vacation weight by reaching out to NJ Diet. You will lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days and without any shots. NJ Diet is all natural. They use your hair, saliva, and blood work, along with bioenergetic scans to personalize natural solutions and supplements that get your body into the fat-burning zone so you can finally lose that weight. Then, NJ Diet uses DNA info to help you keep it off. Best of all, it's contractually guaranteed. You're fully supervised the entire time to make sure you are burning fat and not just losing water. You even get the doctor's personal email and phone number. Locations in Newark, Delaware, King of Prussia, and Cherry Hill, or available worldwide with live online video consultations. Call 855-5NJ-DIET or schedule your consultation today by going to njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com. 40 days up to 40 pounds. 40 days up to 40 pounds.
Offer not valid in all states or prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Great. Maxed out cards, rent is due, bills are piling up. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
We should do what my brother did. He went to GetCash.com and got $3,000.
With our bad credit?
GetCash.com is different. They're one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000.
I'm sure there's a lot of paperwork.
Nope. My brother said it was fast and easy. He did it right from his phone.
If you have a regular source of income, you can be approved for a loan of up to $5,000 in minutes, and your cash can hit your bank account as soon as the next day. Our lenders have millions of dollars to lend regardless of your credit history.
Great news! I went to getcash.com and we'll have our money as soon as tomorrow.
Wow, that is fast.
If you need extra cash, go to getcash.com. That's getcash.com. Getcash.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential. But finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. The Dawn Stensland Show on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
Breaking news reported as a Venezuelan man who is illegally in this country once again arrested. Hi, Dawn Stensland here. 855-839-1210, the number to call. The report this half hour is that Google is down. The search engine, YouTube, and other services have been hit with some kind of a worldwide outage. So I don't know what's up with that. Let us know. Let me know if you're suffering with an outage. But I want to get to this story. We'll get to the Trump news of the day, the Trump lawsuit that we're hearing about, and so much news happening. And we'll get to some great audio. But this is a Venezuelan migrant. They're calling him a migrant. He's in this country illegally, accused of leading a violent attack against police officers in Times Square, NYPD. Remember when that happened? And we know now that crime in places like Venezuela has gone way down because they're just opening up their prisons. They're sending all the criminals here. And under the Biden-Harris administration, we let them in. This is a 24-year-old identified as Yonri Brito, arrested again after he's accused of stealing several items worth nearly $500 from Sephora, and he was on bail. If you can imagine this, he was on bail after he was indicted by a grand jury over the attack on police, a violent attack on New York police officers. And they just put an ankle bracelet on the guy and poof, okay, just go out. So he's accused of being the most culpable and responsible among 6 people arrested and held. He was freed after Good Shepherd Lutheran Church had posted his bail of $5,000. So they were trying to hold these guys on, $50,000 bond, I should say. So, they ought to be responsible there, Good Shepherd Lutheran Church. Maybe they should put up the fellow and have him stay with them. But they put up his bail, posted the bail, and now he's arrested again. Now, by all accounts, I'm not hearing that he committed violence in this latest situation, but we know that before he was arrested on accusations of, assaulting police officers, he had been charged with other theft charges from Macy's and Bergdorf Goodman. He's one of 7 illegal individuals charged in the alleged assault on police. You may remember it went viral, and you probably saw that video. And the officers were attacked. These guys were kicking the officers, kicking them to the point they go down on the ground, and then kicking them in the head, kicking them in the body. And it was just horrible. It was a horrible situation. This is what's being allowed. And you wonder why those individuals, when Trump holds a rally, in New York City, and nobody thinks that it would even be possible that anybody would vote for Trump. Well, this is why. Not just police, the community. Because if these officers aren't even safe, how can you be safe in any community? So we want to get through that. We will get to the story of Trump. And I know I had headlined this for you because it was a breaking news story this morning, mid-morning, that reportedly Trump is suing DOJ. Have you heard about this? So this was over the Mar-a-Lago raid. And I think this is fantastic. So he is set to sue the Department of Justice for $100 million over that Mar-a-Lago raid that happened. And the allegation here is political persecution. The Trump attorneys say it was unconstitutional, that the raid itself was unconstitutional. It should never have been approved by Merrick Garland or Chris Wray. And so I think, I'm not sure, everybody's reporting it at this point. I don't know who broke the story, so I apologize. I do like to give that. I'm not sure, but he is set to sue. And I guess some of these documents, because it's going to be a matter of a court record. So we'll parse through those documents as we get them this morning. I want to get to, if we can, J.D. Vance on the Sunday morning shows. Kamala Harris, she has been campaigning. When we left Friday, when we last talked, I know Trump was headed for Montana and was campaigning over the weekend. Kamala Harris, I believe we're looking at, it's more than 3 weeks that she hasn't really done any long-form interviews or press conferences. It's amazing, isn't it, that she gets away with this? But let's get to, if we can, well, first of all, since you have it, let's get to Henry Machette. Let's get to Kamala Harris, and she is just stealing from Trump's playbook. She was in Vegas, and she just repeated and is, I guess, stealing some of his policy ideas.
Including to raise the minimum wage and eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality.
Wow.
To destroy Social Security. I am going to leave Social Security. I'm not raising the years. I'm not raising the age. I will be saving Social Security, and I'm going to work it out that there's no tax on Social Security for seniors. I'm also doing no tax on tips. No tax on tips. So waiters, waitresses, caddies, people that drive cars, people that get tips who have been harassed by this government, we're going to have no tax on tips. That's a big thing.
So we've heard Trump say it's a great idea. He first had spoken about this, no tax on tips. Then he had released the statement about Social Security, that it's your money. It's not a great deal. It's not the best investment deal anyway, but they're re-taxing your money. And so that's fantastic, too. I know that Trump had reacted to Kamala Harris, that she's just stealing from his playbook and made that comment and has never said anything like that before. But she's saying no taxes on tips. Now, I know on Truth Social, he had written about it and said, okay, she's going to steal a great line on a campaign, but Trump says she won't enforce it. You cannot trust her. She will not do this. I will do it. Has he commented, as far as, do we have audio or video of him? I guess that's my question. I only saw his reaction on Truth Social over the weekend. We'll look for that if he's actually going to react to that. I imagine maybe he'll talk about that with Elon Musk this evening. I think they're talking at 8 o'clock. And we'll break that down for you on Kale and Company first thing tomorrow morning. As far as her stealing from Trump's playbook, I don't know. She doesn't have any policies of her own. She certainly is not going to win on her own policies. And why is it that the media won't simply look at, recently, she ran for president of the United States of America. So why don't they just pull up what she was fighting for on her platform, right? In all of 2019, she was running for office. She gave a ton of speeches. All of that audio's out there. But it's as if she's a brand new person. It's as if it's the rebirth of, say, born again, like a church term. Well, it's the rebirth of Kamala. And it's as if, oh no, the old Kamala, we don't know who that was. We're not going to look at her policy. You know why? Because her policies are so far left. That's why. And so the fact that she's now going to steal from the Trump playbook, and the question is, well, how would you do that then? What do you mean by that? You're not going to. What aren't you going to tax? How would you roll that out? What would you do? She has no idea. Let's go to J.D. Vance. And I know earlier this morning we played 855-839-1210 if you want to comment. I know that we played earlier the Dana Bash on CNN interview with J.D. Vance. He was busy. He's very good. I love Sarah Huckabee. I love Governor I love Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. But he impresses me. He's able to pivot. I can see why Don Jr. Liked him. He's incredible. Although Sarah, quite frankly, would have been able to pivot too. But here he is with ABC News, Mr. Negative Energy. This is Jonathan Karl interviewing him, and never asks him really about the economy or about policy, education, parental rights, the big issues of security, safety, border, any kind of border security, nothing like that. Nothing about the economy. Nope, nothing. Here's the back and forth. And J.D. Vance is able to pivot in ways that I don't know that I've seen somebody this talented to get their position across. This is J.D. Vance. Aired yesterday morning.
I want to move on to something the governor.
No, I don't want Dana, because Dana, we aired her all morning. We heard from Dana, and she's biased, and it's just like their lips are out, like they're like. Remember, who was it? Dana Carvey. Remember when he played the church lady, and he would get that look on his face in Saturday Night Live in those famous skits, and he would sort of purse his lips together and say, "Who?" Do you remember this? I don't know if we have maybe some exclusive church lady audio. Anybody in the house?
Yeah, it was called Church Chat with the church lady.
And how was that, Jimmy?
It would be like, "Well, this is church lady. This is Church Chat. Well, isn't that special?" was the hook line. And they would always say, "So who could be definitely involved with this? Could it be Satan?"
And I did. I expected Dana Bash or Jonathan Karl and ABC. I expected any moment out of either of them over the weekend to just do what you did. Just any moment while they're like have a Tourette Dana Carvey moment, church lady moment, where they went, oh, really? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's their demeanor. Like, they just want to call any Republican or conservative Satan. So who could it be? Satan?
Who could that be? Satan? Republicans are bad. Democrats are good. Well, isn't that special?
Great. Oh, you do a great imitation of Dana Carvey. That's back when SNL was funny back in the day. But let's go to, this is ABC News, Jonathan Karl. This is a serious interview. And they go on, I think in total it's about a 17-minute report. And I think they probably agreed upon about 15-ish minutes. And listen to the focus of what they go through. Oh, I know we're having outages. Maybe this is I know that seriously, YouTube is, there are all kinds of outages.
I'm definitely being affected here.
You are. Okay. That's okay. Basically, what they go through here is abortion, 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 when we know that the media wants abortion to be a topic, but because of the Supreme Court ruling, abortion is no longer an issue that's a national issue. It's a states' rights issue.
So,
do you have it? Go ahead.
So there's been a lot of talk about racism and whatnot. You faced some really nasty stuff. I saw this thing that Nick Fuentes, of course, he's an avowed white supremacist. He said, what kind of a man marries somebody named Usha? Clearly he doesn't value his racial identity, his heritage. I mean, this is racist garbage.
Yes, it is.
But this is also a guy that dined with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago during this campaign.
Well, and that Donald Trump doesn't know anything about and frankly doesn't care for. But yeah, look, my attitude to these people attacking my wife is she's beautiful, she's smart. What kind of man marries Usha? A very smart man and a very lucky man, importantly. And my views, look, if these guys want to attack me or attack my views, my policy, my personality, come after me. But don't attack my wife. She's out of your league.
But, I mean, that dinner that Trump had, and of course it was Kanye West, the guy that's praised Hitler, who arranged it all, that was back a year and a half ago, and Trump still hasn't given a full-throated denouncement of this guy who said that terrible stuff, but he said, I mean, he's a white supremacist.
Look, I think President Trump has issued plenty of condemnations on this. The one thing that I like, the one thing I like about Donald Trump, John, is that he actually will talk to anybody. But just because you talk to somebody doesn't mean you endorse their views. And look, I mean, Donald Trump spent a lot of quality time with my wife. Every time he sees her, he gives her a hug, tells her she's beautiful, and jokes around with her a little bit. I'm not at all worried about Donald Trump. I'm worried sometimes about these ridiculous attacks. But again, this is what you sign up for when you come into politics. I wish people would keep it focused on me, but whatever. They're going to say what they're going to say. My wife's tough enough to handle it, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, so he pivots. He did a good job with answering that. I will just tell you that this guy, Nick Fuentes, who nobody heard of. And first of all, let's just be clear. The only reason that Jonathan Karl of ABC News wanted to even ask the question about just a dope who made an ugly comment about J.D. Vance's wife is because he wanted to get in there, Nazi, Hitler, right? And, this guy he went to Mar-a-Lago, right? That was the whole, it's so disingenuous. This guy could care less about the fact that somebody made a racist, ugly, sexist remark about anybody's wife. He doesn't care about that. He just wanted to get in the point. Hitler. So I almost just want to say, why don't you get it out of your system, Jonathan Karl? Just go ahead. Just yell out words. Yell out words because you hate conservatives and you hate Donald J. Trump. So just yell out. Go ahead. And he can go, Hitler, not, you know what I mean? Because he's just so filled with it. He's consumed with it. But by the way, this Nick Fuentes, I don't really know who the dude is, except that he was in the headlines. So he had declared war against Trump, by the way. And he was at some Mar-a-Lago thing that was with, Trump clearly didn't know who the guy was. But it was at a Mar-a-Lago and it was some big fundraiser dinner or whatever. But this guy is some kind of a neo-Nazi internet personality. But he has railed against Trump, by the way. And so good for him, whatever. This guy's not relevant. He made an ugly comment, but the only reason Jonathan Karl and ABC News wanted to put that out there was because they're saying that this nut job, Fuentes, first of all, he's a conservative influencer. Really? Well, I've really never even heard of him. Have you heard a lot about this guy, Henry and Jimmy? Am I just wrong? Is he like a famous conservative influencer?
Yeah, I've never heard of the guy in
never heard
my
of
life.
him. I mean, I heard about him when he was with, I guess, like Kanye and some others, right? And went to some big event
It's
where
the
they
first I've
had a
heard of
bunch
that
people.
too.
Yeah,
honestly.
And Jimmy's shaking his head. He didn't hear of him either. So this is the point, to try to just put all of those things together. That's the point of this guy. But then he goes on to the issue of trans. We'll get through it because I want you to hear this. He talks about the J.D. Vance. Basically, he's saying, well, it's not true. You know, we have to stay with the facts. And the fact that Tim Walz, Governor Walz in Minnesota, you've claimed that he's willing to kidnap children and so on and make sure that they can get their gender transition. And so J.D. Vance has to defend himself on that, which he does, and says, no, I didn't say that. I mean, he has to correct the record over and over and over. And this guy, that's what he wants to nitpick about, never wanting to talk about the issues. We'll get through it, and I want to get your reaction, but it's important for you to know. It's very important for you to know, and I promise you Jimmy Kelly's in my ear while I'm talking. And so this makes my husband crazy when he's like, we got to go, and then I keep on talking. So I promise I'll take a break, but it's important that you hear this and you understand that the so-called ABC News mainstream media, they want to put this out there. They want people to believe that Trump supports neo-Nazis, that Trump supports Hitler, that Trump is a racist. They want to tie all of that together. And the nice piece of this is J.D. Vance did not let him get away with that. So we'll talk about it moving forward. Your take, 855-839-1210. Did anybody see the Italians roar over Philadelphia this morning? It's pretty cool that they have precision flyers with this air show coming across. Very cool. And then sad news with an iconic piece of my children's childhood and many of your children and grandchildren's childhood, many of your childhoods coming to an end at the Jersey Shore. Say it ain't so. We'll talk about all of that and more. A lot of Trump news just ahead. But you know, summertime is still here, not ready to bring in the fall or back to school just yet. There's no time like the present to get back out on the roads. My friends at Piazza Premium Automobiles, they're going to help you find that luxury vehicle you've been wanting and you've been eyeing. Piazza, they have thousands of new and certified pre-owned vehicles. And I'm talking about some of the most beautiful, powerful brands on our roadways right now. I'm talking about Mercedes-Benz, Land Rover, Jaguar, Maserati, BMW, Porsche, Alfa Romeo. Ugh, gorgeous, sleek vehicles. Which one? Which one are you dreaming of? Go get it now. PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com. You can just stop by one of their Pennsylvania, Delaware, or New Jersey dealers. Piazza, PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Kale and Company, weekday mornings, 6 till 10.
I believe he used to go as the Greater Chris on Twitter. He's now calling himself the Bachelor Chris.
Bachelor Chris, yeah.
He says crowd size means nothing. Biden had 6 people in a circle at rallies. Trump drew tens of thousands. Biden drew hundreds. Candidates and debates mean nothing. And that's why I'm saying this is why you cannot leave any stone unturned. I know people aren't going to do it. I'm just wasting my oxygen here. This is why you cannot wait until November 5th to vote. If you don't take advantage of September 16th in that 6-week window, don't tweet me. That's it. Don't tweet me. I don't want to hear from you.
Start your day with Kale and Company, weekday mornings 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. You know, now's the time to get Rescue Natural Supplements during their annual Customer Appreciation Sale. Rescue is celebrating you. Save 50% when you mix and match any 5 products or more with the code VIP50. Plus, you'll receive free shipping. Try the popular Rescue 1250 Omega-3 for heart health, Rescue Probiotic for better digestion, or Rescue Orosine for more energy. Again, mix and match any 5 or more single bottles and enjoy 50% off plus free shipping. To place an order, visit res-q.com or call 800-26-ALIVE. Again, that's 800-262-5483. Speak with a knowledgeable Rescue product consultant. And if you're new to Rescue, be sure to create your own account to earn more exclusive savings. Again, use that code VIP50 to receive 50% off and free shipping when you mix and match 5 or more Rescue natural supplements. That's code VIP50 at res-q.com.
The following is a paid commercial announcement.
We have a man who's a warrior, a great military person. Dave McCormick is a 7th-generation Pennsylvanian who grew up in Bloomsburg, went to West Point, and earned a Bronze Star for his service in the First Gulf War. Dave went on to an outstanding career in business, and now he's fighting for the people of this Commonwealth, and he loves this Commonwealth.
Conservative Dave McCormick.
We need new leadership. We need a new president in the White House that's going to get our country back on track. We need a new majority in the Senate that's going to be able to take our country in the right direction.
Dave will vote to secure your borders, stand up to China, unleash incredible amounts of Pennsylvania energy, and he wants to stop Bidenflation. David McCormick, you have my total support and my total endorsement, and you got to win. Dave McCormick.
I'm Dave McCormick, and I approve this message.
Paid for by friends of Dave McCormick. www.davemccormickpa.com.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 1039 FM.
Cradles to Crayons will be giving out thousands of book bags around the city this school year for families in need. The largest USA girls flag football tournament held its 4th annual event in Conshohocken this weekend. 2 teens were arrested over the weekend for crashing into a police car while at a large car meetup in the Northeast.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
Jim Cipriotti at Retire Ready Financial Group doesn't need Google to know you're worried about retirement. Between inflation, rising taxes, and the uncertainty about Social Security, he understands. That's why he offers a complimentary retirement second opinion. It's a no-obligation meeting for you to talk about your concerns about retirement. You want to know if you're going to be okay? Let's find out. 610-894-7415 or go online, retirereadyfg.com.
Insurance and annuities offered through James V. Cipriotti, NPN number 2083768.
Yo, Royce Ford. We know your favorite station is 1210 WPHT. WPHT.
Yeah, just getting back real quick here to the interview. It goes about 17 minutes, but I think the last 3 or 4 minutes of that interview are important. That you have really J.D. Vance very skillfully remaining warm, remaining respectful, and just his demeanor, that he's not he doesn't get angry or agitated in any way. That's not easy to do when this guy is, I think, you look at the scowl, and I know it's not visual because I think YouTube, because of this worldwide outage, YouTube is down. But when I even look at the visuals, just from a media analysis standpoint, the scowl that's on the face of this Jonathan Karl, ABC News Network, and I guess he's filling in. Is this his own show? I don't even know. On ABC, he's probably filling in for Stephanopoulos or whatever. But can we just tee it up, if we could, Henry, to just those last maybe 3-4 minutes? And this is about the immigration issue. And so Jonathan says, well, how can you're Trump, and you say that, you have 20 million people illegally, and how are you going to round up 20 million people? And then he gets into as well the issue of the fact that it is true that Walz has basically, through executive orders, not just through Minnesota legislation, but through executive orders, Governor Walz of Minnesota has bragged that Minnesota is not just a sanctuary for illegals, but also a sanctuary for these puberty blockers for children as young as 9-10 years old, etc. And so, do you have it, or okay? Let's listen in.
One of the proposals that's in the platform, you've talked about it, Trump's talked about it, is a mass deportation. Now, I know he said you'll start with the easy ones, the criminals, people commit crimes, deport them. But he said deporting 15 to 20 million people. How do you actually do that?
Well, John, we have to start with the fact that we have a wide open southern border because our border czar actually set a lot of open border policies. They suspended.
She's not actually. She wasn't the border czar.
Oh, that was what the media called her. She assumed the title. She had control over a lot of our border policy at a time
what was the
when they
root
were
causes of the
suspending.
migration
Let me finish, John. The time they were suspending deportations, they stopped Donald Trump's Remain in Mexico policy, and they reinstituted catch and release. They basically threw open the gates of our country, and now we have a ton of fentanyl, a ton of people suffering.
But how are you going to get 10 to 15 to 20 million people
out of the country? Well, the first thing you have to do is to stop the bleeding, stop the open border.
So can you just pause it? Because I'm going to go on. I just want you to hear what happened there. And when you see it visually, J.D. Vance, when you see it visually, he's, oh, come on. He, in a very folksy, friendly way. This is skillful. And if I were teaching a class, a journalism class on interviewing, or if I were teaching a class perhaps for politicians or candidates to be interviewed, I would show them this interview on either side, because he very kindly, John, he wasn't, but then John Carl starts to come back and he starts talking. Not in a way that is overpowering, but rather in a soft and friendly way. I'm the good guy. Don't talk over me. It's this is skillful. This is excellent. And so it's a little disarming because he's not clobbering the guy over the head with saying something in a way that's overt, but rather kind of like, oh, come on, almost like you would say to a family member. It's very kind, very respectful. And when you look at the demeanor of these two men, one, J.D. Vance, and he smiles a lot. He smiles with his eyes. He smiles physically, his face. He's smiling in a nice way. The person questioning him has a scowl on his face. Literally, like, dude, either change your resting scowl face when you interview conservatives or get some Botox so that you can help disguise your disdain for anybody who's a conservative. And I guess a United States Marine as well, and combat veteran. Never asks him, by the way, about his service. All right, let's continue there.
And actually re-implement the Remain in Mexico policy, rebuild or finish Donald Trump's border wall, and you do that and you stop the bleeding. Now, you're right. Once you do that, once you stop Kamala Harris's open border policies, you've got to do something with the people who are already here. And I think that you take a sequential approach to it. You are going to have to deport some people. If you're not willing to deport a lot of people, you're not willing to have a border when there are 20 million illegal aliens in our country.
10 to 15 million people, this is like, I mean...
Well, John, I think that's the wrong attitude to take of it. Okay,
so you go knock on doors and ask people for their papers.
Again, but I think this is the wrong attitude towards it, right? There's 20 million people here illegally. You start with what's achievable. You do that, and then you go on to what's achievable from there. I think that if you deport a lot of violent criminals, and frankly, if you make it harder to hire illegal labor, which undercuts the wages of American workers, I think you go a lot of the way
points
to solving the illegal immigration problem. But look, President Trump is absolutely right. You cannot have a border unless you're willing to deport some people. I think it's interesting that people focus on, well, how do you deport 18 million people? Let's start with 1 million. That's where Kamala Harris has failed, and then we can go from there.
So stop it there for a second. So think about what he just got in there, right? So he not only got in there that it's her borders, you called her the border czar. This is her crisis that she and her administration helped create this. He got in there jobs that this threatens, what? Union jobs. And so he got that in there. If we were like Olympic analysts, that was the equivalent of, maybe a gymnast just fitting in, instead of a double, triple, it was like a triple flip, back flip 3 times over. That's what he's doing. So he's just scoring those points, but he's doing it in such an effortless way. He's very good. And you don't think of him as, I think that he's speaking his truth and what he believes in, but I think that he's highly skilled. And this guy, this frowny face guy who scowls all the time, is really no match for him, but tries to interrupt him. Okay, let's continue. There's only a little bit left, but this is important for you to hear.
before you go, will you commit to this race to kind of sticking to the facts? I mean, I heard Donald Trump give this speech in Montana he just gave, and he said that Tim Walz has signed a letter letting the state kidnap children to change their gender, that allowing pedophiles to claim, I mean, to be exempt from crimes. I mean, this is not true. It's not remotely true.
Well, what President Trump said, and I haven't watched the whole rally.
What he said was not true.
What President Trump said, John, is that Tim Walz has supported taking children from their parents if the parents don't consent to gender reassignment. That is crazy. And by the way, Tim Walz gets on his high horse about mind your own damn business. One way of minding your own damn business, John, is to not try to take my children away from me.
If
I have
parental rights.
Allowing the state to kidnap children to change their sexual identity.
What I just explained to you, I would describe as kidnapping, John. He has absolutely done this stuff. It's not crazy, John. Come on.
It's not what
you should not be able to take people's children away from them.
And that's not what he's proposed.
If you disagree with decisions about gender reassignment, yes, he has proposed that, John. He absolutely has. Now, here's the more important thing, John. Why are we talking about inflation? Why are we talking about the fact that groceries are unaffordable thanks to Kamala Harris's policies, and so is housing? We've talked a little bit about the border. Why are we talking about the fact that the entire world is on fire because Kamala Harris's foreign policy, she's just asleep at the wheel? We have a set of plans. You talk about sticking to the facts. Donald Trump and I have a set of plans to lower the cost of housing and food, to bring peace back to the world with American leadership. That is all that we want to do. And I think it's telling that the Harris administration is focused so much on these side issues instead of on the real substance of why Americans are unhappy with Kamala Harris's leadership.
To be clear, I just asked you about something that Donald Trump brought up, not something that the Harris campaign brought up. I was asking you about Donald Trump's
No, I'm
words.
saying
Thank you.
But John, the Harris campaign, what are their policy views? They don't have a policy position on their website. Should she sit down and answer tough questions with you?
Yes,
I think she should.
Absolutely.
Where is she?
Well,
but we respect the American people enough.
We hope she'll be on the show soon.
I hope so too, John, because the person who wants to be our president ought to sit down for some tough interviews. I'm willing to do it, and I wish she would too.
All right, J.D. Vance, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
And then it goes back to a tight shot, scowly face. You should see the scowly face that he makes. Oh. And he's not happy. JD got some good points in there, didn't he? He did a great job.
Yeah, and Carl's got that look on his face when you're like letting someone go through a door first. It's like a
Yeah, or like he's constipated.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead, turd. I was like so aggravated. I really was. I was so aggravated with him and disappointed in him because he doesn't. When J.D. Vance started making points that are important points, he tries to interrupt, and that's another thing. Some people, you have to be strong and he's talking fast, but he's getting those points in. It's critical. So we'll talk about that. Get your reaction to it. We do have Trump's reaction to some things, and I will just quickly, because I, of course, looked up the policy of Minnesota and Governor Tim Walz, and in truth, I'm fact checking this, and I want you to hear this is Newsweek. I mean, there are so-called mainstream media places that are reporting on the Walz philosophy as far as if you as a parent say, no, I don't want my 10-year-old on a puberty blocker, and they say, hey, I want that. Well, we'll read the policy. Let's fact check it together. 855-839-1210. Be right back.
Weather sponsored by Express Employment Professionals.
Mostly sunny, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all in the low to mid 80s with some sun and some clouds.
If your supply chain demands a flexible workforce, hire with Express Employment Professionals. With contract and full-time workers from Express Employment, you get the staff you need and manage contingent labor costs. Learn more at expresspros.com. That's expresspros.com.
Gail Schlosser, and I started with Crash Proof Retirement in 2016. What impressed me about the Crash Proof events was that Phil presented us with hard facts. It's just impossible to have a steady income from the stock market. If the market crashes, I would lose most of my retirement money. With Crash Proof Retirement, I'll take money out to go on a cruise, and I'll still have money in my accounts. With the Crash Proof Retirement system, I'm getting great returns, up to 12 to 15%. 5% because I can take the money out and the interest keeps building money for me in my crash-proof accounts. And I have not had to pay any fees. My money is safe and it's not going to be dwindle away in the stock market. With the crash-proof retirement system, I've got peace of mind, so I can take all the cruises I want.
Schedule an appointment or register for our next event at the William Penn Inn on Tuesday, September 17th. 800-722-9728 or crashproofretirement.com.
Hi, Stephanie from Emmons. Are you not loving your bathroom? Is the King's Throne looking a little outdated and run down? Let Emmons Design Specialists design a bathroom that you will love and one that Emmons will redo in as little as 1 day. An affordable, maintenance-free bathroom with little to no inconvenience to you and your family. With finance options available, there's really only one problem. Your bathroom will be so nice, your king may never want to come out. Call Emmons today at 856-885-6677 or visit us on our website at callemmons.com.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I have a serious heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or HCM. Some symptoms include being short of breath, feeling tired, or having dizziness or chest pain. I still had symptoms on my beta blocker, so I asked my cardiologist about any treatment advances. It was a breakthrough for me. That's why I'm working with Bristol Myers Squibb to raise awareness about HCM and to help others like me. Talk to your cardiologist today and visit hcmrealtalk.com for more information.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb. Hey, it's Rhea. Keep the summer vibes going with Lexus of Cherry Hill during the Golden Opportunity Sales Event. They are proudly celebrating 35 years in business. Over 300 new and L-certified pre-owned Lexus to choose from, and the all-new GX has arrived. Being veteran-owned, family-operated, and a 6-time J.D. Power Dealer of Excellence winner, Lexus of Cherry Hill provides luxury customer service. So go talk to Tony and his team to set yourself up with some of the best deals of the year. Visit LexusofCherryHill.com.
For J.D. Power Dealer of Excellence information, visit jdpower.com/US-DOE.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Free speech lives here with Kale and Company weekday mornings on Odyssey's #1 talk station, 1210 WPHT.
So I was looking at Truth Social for Trump, reacting to Kamala kind of ripping off and repeating some of his philosophies, such as no tax on tips. We haven't heard whether or not she's going to try to copy the no taxes on Social Security. And Henry says, guess who just is on X? Donald J. Trump, just within the last 20 minutes or so, posted this video. I don't know if we're still on YouTube because of this outage, but can we play it?
Trump has left the building.
We can now project the winner of the presidential race. Donald Trump wins the presidency.
What started off as unlikely, impossible, is now reality.
I will fight for you with every breath in my body, and I will never, ever let you down.
We have a president who actually fulfilled the promises he made during the campaign. Securing the border to foreign policy.
He now has a record as president that's pretty damn impressive.
Breaking news out of Palm Beach,
The FBI has executed an unprecedented search warrant at President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. The former president has both sides of the political aisle up in arms.
It is a dangerous and unstable moment in American history.
The Justice Department has just indicted former President Donald Trump.
For 7 years, they hated him, they targeted him, they hunted him.
This is the epitome of the abuse of the prosecutorial power to preempt political decisions.
I never thought anything like this could happen in America. The only crime that I have committed is to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it. The more that a broken system tells you that you're wrong, the more certain you should be that you must keep pushing ahead. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. They're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way, and I will never be moving. On November 5th, 2024, justice will be done. We will take back our country, and we will make America great again. America will always rise to every challenge and overcome every danger.
Donald Trump seems to always get stronger when challenged. These types of things, I think, give him strength.
When I'm reelected, I will totally obliterate the deep state.
So this is a 2-minute, 30-second video just released by one Donald J. Trump on X.
Then we will not fail.
It's a great ad, beautifully produced, beautifully done visually. I re-X'd it, but this is obviously ahead of Trump's interview where he will have a chat and a sit down with Elon Musk, the owner of X, but putting all that out there, and then this amid the word that Trump and his attorneys are suing DOJ for political persecution for $100 million. So your reaction to that ad, 855-839-1210. Really quick here, I will simply tell you that it is true that Governor Tim Walz, just fact-checking that Jonathan Karl from ABC News, who said it's not true. The truth is that Walz has been the governor there in Minnesota since 2019. He's a career, I almost said career criminal. He's a career partisan politician. And not a career criminal. That was a joke. I almost just hit a slip of the tongue. He is a career politician because before that, he certainly worked within their legislature, and he fought very hard for the removal of a child issued in another state solely because the child's parent or guardian assisted the child in receiving gender affirming care in this state. And so that was something that was known as the trans refuge law. And so this is something that, people are concerned about, that can a parent go to a neighboring state and can they take that child and get that gender affirming care and get those puberty blockers? To my knowledge, as I look at this, he had signed not just their legislature putting that into law, but he signed executive orders at his level as governor, reaffirming the right to access this gender-affirming care in Minnesota and saying, in Minnesota, you will not be punished for seeking or providing this medical care. This is an executive order delivering urgent action that our LGBTQ plus Minnesotans deserve. And he talked about vulnerable children, and he talked about the fact that in some states, they're not allowing this so-called conversion therapy. So when J.D. Vance is talking about his policy, this is a guy, this is not about adults. They're talking about kids. And we know that the potential for kids as young as 8, 9 years old to receive this gender-affirming physical care, whether there's surgeries, etc. And this is a real thing. I'm not making up. I can bring you to the records and show you in places like Pennsylvania, foster kids. And this is controversial stuff because kids that young, can they really make that decision? And this is a surgery, or this is something that will sterilize them for the rest of their lives if they take some of these medications that are quite powerful. So that's the truth. And so for the ABC network person to say this is a lie, he wasn't giving the full piece of information. That's obvious. Your reaction to either that Trump video or the Walz situation about his gender affirming, care, his support of that it's a sanctuary for that that gender-affirming care, even if it's against the parents' will, the parents can lose custody of their own child and get the gender-affirming care. That's what Walls wants and says. 855-839-1210. Be right back.
Hey everyone, it's Donald Trump Jr. Join me and Dom Giordano Thursday, September 12th at the Scottish Rite Auditorium in Collingswood, New Jersey for the next Politics and Pints with WPHT. We will talk all things Trump, the 2024 election, and my father's book, Letters to Trump. South Jersey and PA suburbs are hugely important to electing Donald Trump president. Just head to 1210WPHT.com for tickets right now. Hope to see you there.
The following is a paid commercial announcement.
What happens when Washington liberals spend trillions of dollars? Just look around. Prices are way up. They pushed a bunch of reckless spending, and Senator Bob Casey voted for it. Now we're paying higher gas prices, higher grocery prices, and higher utility bills. Casey helped create this mess by voting with President Biden 98% of the time, including voting for trillions in wasteful spending. Instead of listening to the warnings, Senator Casey sided with the liberals, causing this inflation disaster. Casey voted to let illegals take your tax dollars. He voted to let illegals collect $500 million in COVID relief checks. It's more for illegals and less for us. Come on, Senator Casey. That's just not right. Call Senator Casey at 202-224-6324. Tell him to put Pennsylvania families first and fix his inflation disaster. Support S575, the Fight Inflation Through Balanced Budgets Act. Paid for by One Nation, onenationamerica.org.
What if I told you your home movies are already past their prime? It's true. The magnetic tape used in VHS and camcorder tapes only lasts between 10 to 20 years, which means your baby's first steps, weddings, and family vacations are fading away as we speak. Digitizing your old media with Legacy Box stops this fading process in its tracks. And by preserving your recordings, they're safe forever. Legacy Box is simply the best way to preserve your past, which is why they've been trusted by over 1 million families. Your memories are meant to be shared, not chewed up by the VCR or worn away with time. For a limited time, you can convert your tapes to digital for just $9 a tape. There's never been a better time to convert your entire collection. That includes film reels and photos too. Visit legacybox.com/value to get our $9 sale. That's legacybox.com/value to unlock our $9 offer. legacybox.com/value.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano for my friend, dentist and board-certified prosthodontist Dr. Robert Bentz and the Bentz Dental Group. His state-of-the-art facility makes your dentistry as easy as can be. Recently had a permanent tooth put in, and you know how it is. In the past, you bite down, it's too high, it's always too high. The back and forth getting it just right. Well, not this time. With Dr. Bentz, it fit perfectly the first time. Call the Bentz Dental Group now, 610-272-6949. Visit BentzDentalGroup.com, 610-272-6949.
Inflation, recession, interest rates, the Fed. How do you make sense of it all? Join Joe Yakovich on The Heart of Your Money, Sundays at 9 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
This is Dr. Marianne Ritchie. Tune in to Your Radio Doctor every Saturday afternoon at 5 here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT for the latest healthcare news and information, because your health is your wealth. That's Your Radio Doctor, Saturdays at 5.
Calling on Blackwood to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
So much developing as we have the Italian Air Force jets conducting that flyover in Philadelphia with the green, red, and white smoke that trails behind. Quite a scene here. I know they're headed to Ocean City, Maryland for their next big air show. Pretty cool, pretty exciting. And then we, unfortunately, we do have Tropical Storm Ernesto projecting to bring rain and a lot of flooding, and that as it makes its way toward us. But I don't think we feel the effects of that until maybe next, hopefully not this weekend, but within a week. Beautiful weather for us straight ahead. So do we, I know we've talked a lot about what's going on with Trump. Your reaction to this video, Henry Machette, thank you so much for seeing that because Henry caught it.
How could I not? I mean,
right?
Immediately the biggest thing on Twitter.
So I was looking at True Social. I was off Twitter for a second. That's why I didn't see it right away, because I was looking for Trump's latest comments as he talks about Kamala trying to steal some of his policies and that she's a wolf in sheep's cloth, etc. And so what do you think of this video?
I thought it was more than a video. I mean, you talk about like a campaign ad. That thing was a whole movie trailer.
Yeah.
I felt like I was sitting down in the movie theater ready to watch something, and this comes on in the previews. I mean, that was high level, high production. I'm back, essentially.
Beautifully done.
Yeah.
And it brings me to, and I started out, I told you about The Economist. I didn't even have a chance to talk about it this much, but kind of out of the blue here, that The Economist, the headline is complimenting, if you will, and this is not a right-wing, publication, but The Economist talking about the fact that the Trump campaign is much more professional and basically has it together. And it starts out by saying, standing outside a quaint house in the Philadelphia suburbs of Delaware County, Dawn Stensland sounds like an agony aunt, which we had to look that up. It's a term from like way back in the day, meaning somebody who would warn you. Have you ever heard of that?
Never heard of that phrase, ever.
I've never heard of that, but it's like, I guess, an old English term or something. But it basically means like somebody that's going to warn you, like I don't know who warned Dear Abby or a consumer advocate or whatever. But it says, it quotes me as saying, because I was the keynote speaker for that Trump 47. It says, I was a closet conservative like maybe some of you. It's time to come out of the closet and wear your Trump hat. And so then the article goes on. So they're quoting me at the start of it. And it says, the House expresses this advice. The windows are plastered with posters advertising it as the local Trump Force 47 office, Donald Trump's get out the vote operation of 2024. During his previous presidential runs, Mr. Trump took a haphazard approach to his ground game. This time, in Pennsylvania at least, his efforts look more formidable. And they go on to say more professional. And so they go on to say that the fact that Trump Force 47 is bothering to open an office in Delaware County is evidence of that. The Philadelphia suburbs have not been friendly to Mr. Trump or other Republicans in recent years. And then it goes on with 2020, talks about Pennsylvania and the campaign, but essentially is complimenting the ground game of Republicans and the GOP, something I've widely criticized, as you well have known over time, that I've said, oh, come on, GOP, come on, PA, get yourselves together. So a nice little comment coming out of, I don't know, left field, if you will.
That must feel pretty good for you, is it not? Like, because you've been, like you said, you've been a staunch advocate. Like, we got to get out there and do this. And I don't know, to see your name kind of headlining that piece.
Well, no, I think to me the piece of this is that, first of all, I think it's a compliment to the Trump Force 47 folks, that they have a network.
Yeah.
And they're getting local speakers, they're getting people fired up, and they want, even we talk about Linda Kearns, and protectthevote.com, but many people getting involved. But there is a ground game. What they're saying is the ground game was not that well organized, quite frankly, in the past, and it is now. And so it's definitely a nice compliment to them. And I have to say to my friend Sam, as well as to Sam Martinez and Kathy Barnett, because they've been instrumental as well. But Sam is the regional director. We'll have to have Sam on, some others with Trump Force 47. They don't mention them, which they should. They deserve the credit for helping organize this ground game. Dom Giordano is in the house. My goodness, Dom, there's so much developing this hour.
Absolutely. Dawn, I agree on the ground game. Nice hit for you there. The ground game is solid, but Trump has to be more patient, methodical on the border issue with Kamala Harris. It's very doable that she is completely fraudulent on this, but it doesn't happen overnight to do it. It's methodically taking her apart.
Well, I can't wait to hear Dom's take. Dom and Dan. Up next, Dom Giordano Show.